All right, welcome to the Better Than Me podcast with John Conover. I get to interview business leaders, business success stories, and learn from them, get the notes, get the tips and the ideas. And those of you that are listening in, you get to learn right alongside of me. And today I have my first repeat guest on the Better Than Me podcast, Mr. John Beebe. He's the CEO of Beebe's Bargains Travel and Coaching. John has been a personal friend of mine for a few years now. And one of the things that's kind of brought us together is our love of entrepreneurship and business. And he was able to share his story on episode 2. And today we're going through the storytelling part of business and then segueing that into what I believe is one of the most important topics you could ever do a deep dive on. And that is knowing your why, personal why, business why. And John, you've got plenty to say on the topic. So thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, man. Hey, super excited to be here. Like you said, I was in episode 2, honored to do that. And if you want to hear more in depth of my story, you can go back there. But I'd love to kind of give you a rundown here for those that are just checking in, getting to know me for the first time. My business story, really goes back to 2009. I want to take it back to there. Then it was January of 2009. My wife and I were living in North Carolina. I had went to school to be a pastor. I was a youth pastor, love spending time with students and getting to really mentor them and encourage them and give them a safe space to really process life and stuff like that. So I was doing that. I was in North Carolina, originally from Buffalo, New York, but the job had taken us down there. So we're down in North Carolina, and life is just going really well. I'm getting to do what I went to school for, which not everyone gets to do that. I'm loving life. And my wife and I, we found out the Christmas of '08 that we're expecting our first child. And we were just like through them, like to the moon, like excited, super encouraged. And it was like, it didn't come easy. We had to try a lot. There were some roadblocks for us to, be expecting our first child. So now fast forward to January, a couple months later, we're going in to the appointment where we're going to get to hear our daughters or sons, whatever it was. We didn't know at that moment yet. Heartbeat. So we were super excited. We go into the doctor's office, and we're younger, so we're literally at, like, John, I think I remember we were kind of like skipping into the waiting room, like we're into the doctor's office, like just holding hands, like excited. I don't know if we were just skipping in my mind, but we were. That's how excited I was. So we go in there. We get into the waiting room. We get into the room, the doctor's room. Then the doctor comes in. They set up the whole ultrasound thing. They're listening with the microphone so we hear the heartbeat. And then they pause for a second and they're like, "Hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go do an ultrasound in the other room where you get to like see the baby, then not just hear the heartbeat." So we're like, "Oh, cool! We get to do an ultrasound. We're young. We're not really knowing what's happening here, or we're not really catching the cues." So we get into the other room. And they hook up the ultrasound, get her all ready, and they're showing the baby, and we could see the baby. And then the doctor comes in, and the doctor's like, "Now see right here, this is where we would see the heartbeat, but we don't. And this is what's called a missed miscarriage." And what happened was we had lost our first baby. And that like wrecked us. We were in a horror, like we were just so down and depressed and like sad at that moment. And I remember my wife had to go in, have this procedure done called a DNC because the baby wouldn't pass on his own. So we had to go in and have a DNC. And when she went in and had that procedure done, I remember going into the waiting room, and I'm in the waiting room, and then they call me in and they say, "Mr. Beebe, you can come in and see your wife now. She's coming out of anesthesia." And when people are coming out of that, if you've never experienced that, it's like a different person. It's like, are they fully there or whatever? And the nurse told me, they're like, she's coming out of it, so she's going to be a little groggy and not herself. So just know that. So I go in the room, and she's kind of laying there, and I'm like, "Babe, it's me, Lauren, it's me." And she kind of like moves her head and like opens her eyes and sees me. And I'm like, I go up to her face and lean over. I say, "You all right?" And she said, "Yeah." But then she said, "But he's gone." And man, like, I was holding it together for her, but man, I gave her a hug, and I'm like crying on one side, like just to hear those 2 words, "He's gone." I'm like, oh, and it like wrecked us. I don't know if you've been in a place, those listeners that have been in a place where you get wrecked by something you hear. That was a tough moment. So you might say, why am I sharing that? Well, then 2 months later, it's April, we're expecting again. And it's like, we went from this really dark moment now to a really high moment again. We're expecting again, and we didn't have to wait all that time to get pregnant. It happened quicker. And we felt that was just God's blessing in our life, and it happened faster. And we were like, oh, that we needed that to happen sooner, and that really helped us. And then another month and a half later, we're on a vacation. And when you're newly married on a budget, you do finances and stuff, John. Vacations sometimes aren't they're not they're luxuries. They're not things you just get to do. You have to save for them. So we were on a vacation, and I get a phone call from someone at the church I was working for, and to come to find out the outcome of that phone call, that I was getting let go from my job. So it's like we lose our baby, we're expecting another baby, we're getting let go from my job now. And what ended up happening from that, the snowball effect, it was during the recession, in the mid to late 2010, right around that, we ended up having to foreclose on our house. We didn't know where our next paycheck was coming from. We lost our insurance. Think about losing your insurance when you're expecting a baby. Like, all this stuff is now compounding on us, and we're like, what the heck are we going to do? So, happy story, I'll just let this out of the bag now. Years later, now many years later, we have three beautiful daughters. And one of those daughters, the oldest, is Ava, and she wouldn't be here today if we didn't lose that first child. So it's like Ava's this like special blessing that's here, and we wouldn't give her up for anything. So we see, maybe I call it the hand of God. I see that through that, and just the blessings through that. But when that happened, Lauren, we asked the question, like, what am I going to do for work? I still felt passionate about caring for kids through being a pastor and pursuing my passion as that. And Lauren told me, she said, she was like, are we still going to do this? We're still going to go on this road? Because that was very hurtful. We lost not just our job, but our community of people. When you're in a church, it's a community of people, and community is super important to me. Talked about it in the last episode, how community was helped build our business. So community was really important. We lost all of that. So we had to rebuild our community, rebuild our life, rebuild our finance, everything. But I still wanted to go after my passion. And Lauren said, hey, like, we talked, you still pursue your passion. And she started trying to figure out, what are other little things I can do to make a little extra money? Because all the churches, I'm grateful, the churches I worked for, they took care of me. But being a pastor, you're not in it for the money. Just like being a teacher, you're not in it for the money. All of those things, you're not in it for the money. But you need money to live. Like, you need that. So Lauren said, I'm going to start trying to do some things online, starting little businesses here, and see if we can't get a little extra income coming in here or there. That led to her starting multiple businesses, that when we try this, try that, do this, and we'd work together on it, I'd help her. And then in 2018, we launched Beebe's Bargains. And Beebe's Bargains launched. So again, like, look at that. That's like 9 years after all that stuff happened. But we landed on Beebe's Bargains. And after launching Beebe's Bargains is an online affiliate business where we save people money, time and money on the best online deals by providing really, really, our services are finding all the products, posting them to our social media sites and stuff like that. And that allowed us to be able to, provide more for our family. So Lauren started that. And now after we're celebrating 5 years coming up here in October, after 5 years of Beebe's Bargains, that affiliate marketing company, we now, that started with a Facebook community of just a few hundred members consisting of friends and family. And now we have a community of over 65,000 and growing by 750 members per month. That's been organic growth over the last year, if you average the last 12 months. And this year, we're on pace to do over 5 million in affiliate sales through our sites. And it's just, if you know much about affiliate marketing and stuff like that, the affiliate sales is how many sales, and then we get a fraction of the commission for that. But we're on pace to generate over 5 million in affiliate sales, which is insane. And that's where we are today. But it didn't start there. It started with all those bad moments where we're like, where's our next paycheck coming from? Where are we going to find a new community? We lost our house. How are we going to pay to have our baby? Like, all kinds of stuff were just hitting the fan all at once. And I don't know where you are today, but we started in a place like that. And chances are you've been through a place like that, or you are in a place like that. But there are steps that you can take to move yourself towards that. I think we're going to talk about some of those today. But John, that's really our story of how we got to Beebe's Bargains. And now I've launched Beebe Travel, where I help people travel to Walt Disney World. And then I also have launched Beebe's Coaching really recently, where I've really formalized what I've been doing for the last couple of years, is really encouraging and helping entrepreneurs. So I run workshops, one-on-one coaching, things like that. and I'm in the works of some cool things coming up in the next, in 2024 that I'm excited about. But yeah, so then all these other businesses have kind of launched out of that. And we have a team of a bunch of staff that works for us, but we just love what we get to do. And we love serving people and helping them.
Well, and for the audience that's listening in, it's just we talked right before we started this episode. John and I decided we would want John to get through his story, which I thought was a really good decision to let him get it all out. If you're listening to this, you go, oh my goodness, like what? Everyone's got their crap. Everyone's dealing with their stuff, their list. Yep. Everyone's got their list, right, of life. And some people decide to take the hands they're dealt and do something extraordinary with it, sometimes out of necessity, which oftentimes creates some of the coolest success stories. And it sounds like that's definitely something you've done. And something that now as a coach, you could coach people through, how to launch a business from scratch. You've done it, and you did it at not an ideal time. One of the things that actually stood out to me that I think we should comment on before we get into the why part, which I can't wait to dig into, and that is so much is on Instagram and social media today, what has become cliche in the entrepreneurial world. And that is this idea of opportunity does not wait for the opportune time. I've had so many people that I've talked to over the years that they've talked to me about getting into business, but they tell me the timing's not right, which isn't a real thing. There is no such thing as the timing's right. You decided you needed to launch a business, right? And your wife was very instrumental in that at first, but it was out of necessity. You launched a business, made it successful. Your back was against the wall. And from there, the growth in that business, probably not from necessity, probably because it just was a great business idea, well executed, and it grew. Talk to us a little bit about the timing and I don't know. I threw that out there, John, because if the timing was better, I would go into business for myself. Yeah.
I think what I have to say about that is we're going to talk about your personal why in a little bit. And I think that matters more than anything. And I tell you, most people don't have a personal why for their life. We'll get in that in a minute. But when we're talking about timing, John, it makes me think of this. Like when we got married, and I know many people when they get married, the decision is like, hey, people ask you the question, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? First of all, I want to tell you something. If you're newly married here, or people are asking you like, when are you going to have kids? This is what I told people. Cause like usually it was a lot of like the older folks that were older than me that were asking me like, hey, when are you going to have kids or whatever? You want to know my response to them was this. It was like, well, are you going to have kids now? I'd say, no, we're just practicing right now. And you'd watch the old folks' faces look at you and you're like, no, we're just practicing right now. And I'm having fun practicing. I'll tell you that.
Right.
And they'll like get all red and stuff and be funny. But think about this. The reason why most people don't, like if you ask people like, when are you having kids? Well, we're going to wait. Why are you going to wait? The reason why they're going to wait is they say, we want to make sure we're financially ready. We want to make sure we're emotionally ready. We want to make sure our career is in the best place and we're ready. And do you want to know what? If you're waiting for the perfect time to have a kid, there is never a perfect time. It's never going to come.
It's true.
And it's the same thing with a business. If you're waiting for the ideal perfect time, here's the deal. Before I was an entrepreneur, when I was a pastor for a while, I was a pastor for 14 years, 13 years as a youth or 12 years as a youth pastor, 2 years as a campus pastor, more of a senior pastor role. And when I was in that role, the reason I stepped away from that full time is because I really felt like I wasn't giving enough time back to my family. And I was trying to run the business with my wife and I was always working so much. I was too busy. And there's more of those details if you go back in the other episode. But that being said, I made the decision that I'm going to step away from church work in order to go full time in our business and serve people in that avenue, in that arena. And when I decided that, do you know the time frame I set? This was like March. In March, I decided this, it was like the week before Easter that year of what year was it? 2021. It was the year before Easter in 2020, the week before Easter in 2021, I made the decision. And, you know what I decided? I decided that at first, well, it was like a few weeks before that, but I was deciding, hey, I'm going to stop. I'm going to give I'm almost going to make a pact here now that I'm going to go until the end of this year. So that way I'll get some money in order and things like that. And I'll be able to like prepare myself for it and stuff like that. Do you want to know when I ended up stepping away? I ended up giving my notice after I decided I'm going to wait till like the end of 2021. I gave my notice like a week later. Because what happened was I got some good advice from somebody. They're like, dude, if you're already checked out now and you're planning on leaving in December or October, whenever you're going to plan on leaving, they said, that's already too far away. In 2 weeks, your mind's already going to be there. Your mind's already going to be there. And you're going to be like, why the heck am I waiting? So I prayed about it. That's important to me. My wife and I, we prayed about it and we decided, hey, we have peace about making this decision sooner than later. So a week after I had a conversation with that person, I put my notice in. I actually gave 3 months notice. I didn't give like 2 weeks or whatever, because I wanted to finish strong. I wanted to be able to leave with integrity and give them enough space to get the right guy in the right place. So I gave 3 months notice. We are a multi-site church, so they can fill people in. They can shift people around to take that role for me. So it wasn't like 3 months notice and we got to like go searching all over the place. There was some ability for them to figure that out. And that was a lot of time actually, because some people would only give like 2 weeks to a month. But I made that decision and I made it sooner than later because I knew I would shift. Talked to another gentleman about a year later who was doing something similar to me. And I said, dude, here's what's going to happen because it happened to me. And he's like, well, I want to wait till I'm financially ready. I want to wait till this. I want to wait till that to go into, entrepreneurship and leave the corporate world. And I'm like, dude, here's what's going to happen. If you're already there, you already have a plan, what you want to do, your mind's going to go there a lot quicker. So I would say if you're on here and you're saying, when am I going to, I'm just going to wait to take the leap. I'm going to wait till I'm ready. I understand financially you might need to make money, so you may need to work the job and then also start the business, but don't wait to start the business. But if you have financial reserves available where you can take time off and take a year without really making much money to launch your business, then why wait? Go and do it. Because if you're blessed and you have that financial reserve there available to do it, great, go after it. I didn't have it, but Beebe's Bargain started making enough where we can scrounge for about a year and try to recoup my income, which we did, and go after it. But if you're waiting, what's going to happen is either you're going to be frustrated in the current role you're in, or you're never going to do it.
Well, and John, that's it. And that part right there, I think they're like, well, what about the risk of going into business? I think you actually run the risk of, if you're feeling right now that your why, your desire, the thing that's driving you into the business world right now, it's an emotional drive. There's something emotionally driving you towards entrepreneurship. Well, if you let that flame go out, it may never come back.
Correct.
And so while you have that entrepreneurial flame, while you have the emotional draw, you need to use that like fuel and let it drive you. And I'm not saying be stupid, but don't squash it.
No.
By waiting.
Absolutely not.
What are some of the things? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, like you said, I know a gentleman when I was younger in middle school and high school. I knew him. He always had all these great ideas, super good, good ideas where I'm like, man, if I had money, I'd invest that, it would make it happen. Maybe I might not invest in you because I don't know if I see the follow through with him, but that's the exact thing. He had all these dreams, had all this stuff, but he never had the follow through. Now he's a server, he's a waiter at like a high-end restaurant, so he makes like decent money and things like that. So he's in a good place now, but he's been doing that for so long and he had so many great big dreams that he was not able to pursue them because he just didn't say yes to it. He just didn't go after it. And I'd say don't be like that guy who when he was 18, 19, he had this dream, and now 20 years later, he's still doing the same job. Now, if your dream is to do that job, by all means, it's providing for him. It's a great job. He's at a high-end restaurant making good money. So there's nothing wrong with that. But his dreams that he wanted to go after, he wasn't able to pursue.
Regret is one of the thickest poisons.
Yes,
out there.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about knowing your why. And something you brought up to me over coffee a few weeks back was that your personal why and your business why have been integrated. There is an integrity about having your personal why infiltrate your business why. John Beebe, you don't have to live two separate lives, a business life and a personal life. You've integrated them successfully. And so I'd love for people to start to learn about your why, but also the importance of developing their own.
So John, as you're talking about that, when I go back to my personal why, I actually did it opposite. So in my entrepreneur coaching, what I do, I'm actually in the process in the middle of a 4-week workshop right now. It's actually a 4-session. We do it one hour per week over 4 weeks. And we're talking about the first week, what we talk about is your personal why and your business why. And the reason being is that is more, I believe this part, what I'm going to talk about right here is we're not even going to get into it as deep as I get into it in the workshop because we just don't have the space. But this is so vital and so important because when we started Beebe's Bargains, we didn't even have a business why. I didn't even have a personal why. And when I say business why, personal why, business mission statement, personal mission statement, I didn't have them.
All right, can I pause right there?
Yes.
And then I want you to let it rip because the audience needs. All right, so you did have a why. You just didn't have a written mission statement. But you had a why that was driving you.
Correct.
The why evolved over time and became a mission statement over time, but there was always something driving you.
Yeah, we just did it wasn't tangible.
There we go. Okay.
Do you want to start over?
No, I no, the audience is going to take in this dialogue and they're like,
oh, so they are audience. You are still listening. All right. So
I want the audience to understand that I hear what you're saying. There's a big difference between an organized, polished, branded mission statement that some people think they have to have in order to launch their business.
Correct.
And in the beginning, you could have a raw, unimpressive why that is driving you.
Correct.
And then that why can evolve over time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So my personal why, what I realized is we had the business why, which is we want to save the people time and money so they can engage more with those they love. We do that by providing the best online deals at reputable retailers and posting them to our sites. So that's what we want to do, saving people time and money so they can engage more with those they love. Here's the deal. I realized that I wasn't doing that in my life. That's what caused me to step away from the church work that I did to do that in my family. And then I realized, wait, I don't even have a personal why. When I say business why, personal why, what I'm really saying is a business mission statement and a personal mission statement. And what I realized is that I didn't even have a personal mission statement. And not having a personal mission statement but you have a business with a business mission statement is kind of like trying to learn how to divide before you even know how to add. It's kind of like learning how to multiply before you even know how to count. So the reason why I say all of that, and especially as an entrepreneur, the reason why I say all of that is my business or my personal why has now come out of my business why. And usually it's the other way around. But sure. That's what I do is I'm teaching entrepreneurs to start at the right place. It's one going to save them a lot of time. It's one going to save them a lot of making the wrong decisions because each of these whys, each of these mission statements is going to help you navigate and make the right decisions for your business and for your personal life. So my mission statement for myself, my personal life is I want to live and work in a way that allows me to engage more with those I love and the things I love. So very specific, very, very pointed how I say that because I want to live and work in a way. First of all, living is number one to me, not necessarily working. So I want my life to support. I want my life to be supported by the way I work, not my work to be supported by my lifestyle. So I want to be able to support my lifestyle by my work. So that being said, how do I want to live and work? So that way I can engage more with those I love and the things I love. So there's those I love. I mean, my relationship with God is important to me, my family, my inner circle of people, and then the things I love. Think about the things I love is like, I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, love going to games. We love going to Disney with our family, and I just love spending time. We have friends over to our house. You've been over to my house swimming, like just hosting people and spending time with those people. So those are like what we want to do with our lives. We want our work to support that lifestyle. And then also, now, obviously, our businesses want to help people be able to do that as well in their life. So when I coach entrepreneurs, I help them be able to structure their businesses to support their lifestyle rather than the other way around. When I'm providing products and services for people, those are to help people save time and money so they can engage more with those they love, the things they love with those businesses. So it's very, very important the way we do that. So going all the way back to the personal why, my question to the audience and to all of us is what is your personal why? What is your personal mission statement? Most people don't have a personal mission statement, but let me help you understand. If you have a personal mission statement, what that's going to do is, like I said before, that's going to help drive every decision you need to make. Let's say your personal mission statement is mine, John. You want to live and work in a way that allows you to engage more with those you love and the things you love. Let's say you're passionate about culinary arts. You're a great cook. You're a great chef, John. I could see it in your eyes. So John is a great chef. I'm a great eater of good food, not necessarily a great maker of good food. So John, you're a chef and you have my personal mission statement as your life. So guess what? Would opening a restaurant, so now you're like, man, maybe I should open a restaurant. I love food, love this, that, or the other. Let me go back to my personal why. What is it? I want to work and live in a way that allows me to engage more with those I love and the things I love. Does opening a restaurant help support that? I would say the answer to that would be no, because restaurants are open a lot of nights. They're open holidays. You're away from the home a lot, and you're not able to do that properly. So then when you're like, wow, I'm passionate about food, I'm passionate about culinary arts, a restaurant's not the place. So then you're like, well, I can't do that. Well, no, figure out then, how do I start a business that supports my personal why, rather than just say, well, heck with it. I love that. I'm going to open a restaurant. And then you completely went against your personal why. So now you got everything all out of sorts, all out of whack. So you got to start with your personal why, then figure out what you're going to do from that. What are you passionate about? What do you want to create a business around? Create a business why, but it starts with the personal why. The personal why then is supported by the business why, and then the business why. They all go back to the personal why.
Well, and what this does is it creates so much authenticity.
It does.
You don't
because it's based off of you as a person.
Well, and you're not having to create so much. You're not having to use so much creative energy to come up with how to drive your business. It's actually just flowing out of you.
Because it's who you are.
There it is. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not like I want to look. I always encourage people. I use the word niche a lot. Like I always say, like niche down. You want to get as specific as possible. Some people are like, wow, you don't have a broad audience if you go for that specific of an audience. But no, you have the better audience because you know who you're going after. So I would say, so while I use the word niche, I don't think it's right, because you can't really choose what you're passionate about. You can't really choose what your personality goes after. So
by the way, niche doesn't have to mean small.
No, it doesn't. No, it absolutely does not. No. But
just
what I mean
specific.
You're right. But when I'm saying you need to niche down, you don't get to choose that niche. What I say is look at who you are as a person. The niche is already chosen. Like you're already who you are. So it's not like, wow, culinary arts doesn't work. Now I'm going to go be a mechanic. No, like who are you? What are you passionate about? So you got to go back to those personal whys, because when I'm saying my personal mission statement, live and work in a way that allows me to engage more with those I love and things I love. When I work, I want to be working with things that I love. I want to be working with people that maybe if I don't love, that I could come to love, that I really appreciate to be around. I don't want to work with people that I don't appreciate. So when I'm hiring people for my business, I want to make sure that they're people that I feel like I either love or could come to love. And I mean, I like to say I love all people, but there's different levels of love. Like I love my wife much different than I love you, John. I love my kids much different than I would love you, John. Like there's different kinds of love. So I think you know where I'm going with that, though. But I'd love to give your audience some tips on how to write your why.
Well, I think that'd be so crucial. And I think that's a great place for us to finish up. I think that'd be a great place for us to wrap up, is when you get us through the how-tos. But I want the audience to understand the living and breathing of your mission statement of who you are, that the authenticity that it creates, it becomes a magnet. The stronger that you kind of just see yourself for who you are. You just you're very accepting of, this is who I am. You build a business around a mission of, this is what I'm all about. The stronger that is, and the less you stiff arm it, the less you resist it, the less fake you are, the stronger your magnet becomes. And you get to live and breathe who you are and attract into your business, into your life. And it actually reduces friction.
Exactly. Yep. Because now what you're doing, John, is you are making, when you go to the board meeting, when you sit down with, like, especially when you're starting a business, when you sit down with the broad spectrum of people in your board meeting, which is just you at that point. So when you're sitting down with yourself and you're like, man, I could go this direction or this direction. You know what you do? You go back to your business mission statement. And you say, well, this is what our business mission statement says. So which one of these decisions I have to make more supports that mission? So that's why the writing of your personal life mission statement and your business life mission statement are hyper critical, because if you just write a business life mission statement, it's just pretty, it's just on the wall that people like to see. Back in the 80s, they did this a lot. In 90s, they'd come up with this great phrase, put it on the wall. That's the last time they talked about it. This needs to be something that actually changes the way you operate. Like you use it as a guide, as a map every day. Let's remember our mission statement. Okay, we got to make a decision. Which one best supports that? You keep going back to that. So
what are some of these tips, these ideas? Assuming somebody like me wanted to actually get more formal with writing out a mission statement, which maybe I will after this.
Yeah, I would say, John, if you haven't, you're only hurting. I would say I'm going to only talk about right today. And if we have space and you want to ask me more about the business one, John, we'll get into that.
Okay.
But I want to just talk about right now is your personal mission statement, your personal why, because most people don't think about writing a personal mission statement. And I think that is way more important than a business mission statement, because at the end of the day, your business is going to come and go, but you're going to be here forever. As long as you're like, when I say forever, what I mean is on this earth. Your business is not going to necessarily, your business may not be here the whole time you're on this earth, but the whole time you're on this earth, you're going to be on this earth.
You're right.
You know, my grandma used to say, as long as you live, you'll never die. You know, that was true for her, but then she died in 1990. So it was true for her whole life, because as long as she lived, she never died. So words of wisdom from my grandma. God bless her. I look forward to seeing her someday in heaven. So that being said, and I'll be like, Grandma, you were right. As long as you live, you never die. Okay. Sorry, guys. My cheesiness is coming out. Okay. So your personal why. How do you write a personal why? I'm going to give you 7 guides for writing your seven guides to writing your life mission statement. So 7 guides I'm going to give you.
I'm taking notes. I'm ready. Good.
The first one is keep it short and sweet. First one's pretty simple. Keep it short and sweet. Don't go too crazy with it. Don't go too overboard. When I say sweet, what I mean is don't get too fancy with the words. Let it be something that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Don't try to get too fancy with it. Okay. Number 2, keep it positive. What I mean by keep it positive is maybe for your personal mission statement, and I'm going to read some more at the end of this, some ideas, so you guys can get the ideas flowing, so you're not just thinking of the way I wrote mine. But when I say keep it positive, maybe you want to do things, and maybe you would say, like, I want to live a life where I'm not negative. No, say I want to live a life where I'm positive. So use the positive words. Don't use the negative side of them. Number 3, include essential values, behaviors, and traits. So include values, behaviors, and traits that you consider essential. Like, so I would say when you're starting to write yours down, list off values, behaviors, and traits. Like, just brainstorm what those are. What's important to you? And before you even start writing yours. The 4th one, I think this is super important. Keep it practical. When I say keep it practical, I mean when you wake up in the morning, you can look at this and you can make decisions that morning, that day, based off of what it says. If it's too broad, if it's like, man, I don't really know if I can make a decision based off this. If it's too ambiguous, might be the word, go back to it and say, okay, it's not practical enough. You have to be able to wake up in the morning and make decisions that day off of that. Or else what's going to happen is it's going to fade in the background. You're going to forget about it. And you're not going to use it. Number 5 is look 3 to 5 years ahead. And what I mean by that is look 3 to 5 years in the future and say, if I did this, if I lived this mission for 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be a better person in the future than when I am today. I mean, one of your more recent podcast episodes, John, that you launched on your own, where you did more of a monologue with yourself, you said, I want to be a better person in 3 to 5 years from now than I am today. And if I'm not, that's an issue. So like, John, as you talked about in that in yours, I think it was Matthew McConaughey. Did you mention him?
Yeah,
where he said, my biggest hero is me 10 years from now or 5 years from now. Yep. So that's kind of goes along with this, is look at yourself 3 to 5 years ahead of yourself and say, am I going to be a better person? Is my life going to be better, richer? Are the people around me going to be more rich because I live this out every single day? Number 6, consider others' roles. So consider other people's roles in this mission statement. I want to live and work in a way that allows me to engage more with those I love and the things I love. Others play a role in that. And then number 7 is let it evolve. Let it evolve. This is the most different one from a business mission statement. When I talk about writing your business mission statement, I want you to write your business mission statement and have it be timeless, where it doesn't have to change. Like when I say timeless with the business mission statement, like you wouldn't mention like say 10 years ago, or it was probably 20 years ago now, you were using what was the big MySpace. You were like, we want to help people on MySpace. You wouldn't say MySpace because now that wouldn't be timeless for that mission statement. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be stuck in that time. So my mission statement for our business, we want to save people time and money. They can engage more with those they love and things they love. If you go back 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years now, that mission statement can still work for a business then, just as much as it can now. So for a business mission statement, I say keep it timeless. For a personal mission statement, I say let it evolve. The reason being is you're going to be a different person 10 years from now than you are today. So I'm actually in the process of thinking through mine, and I think there needs to be something added to it. I haven't yet, but let it evolve. Similar to like if you go to the boardwalk at Ocean City, like New Jersey, we go down there, Ocean City, Maryland. When you walk on a boardwalk, you'll see those new beams in their fresh wood where they've replaced it. Eventually, over time, all those boards are going to be replaced, and it's going to be a brand new boardwalk. But it doesn't change overnight. It evolves slowly based on the needs of that boardwalk and how much it's been used or what needs to change a little bit. And then 50 years from now, other than the foundation of it, the whole boardwalk has kind of changed because they've replaced all those boards. They've changed them all because they have to. That's what has to happen. So the foundation will stay similar, but you want to let some of it evolve based on you as a person. So to go through 7 of them real fast, keep it short and sweet, stay positive, include essential values, behaviors, and traits, keep it practical, look 3 to 5 years ahead, consider others' roles, and let it evolve.
Well, so anybody that's listening to this, they go, okay, I'm writing all this down. I think you could even put a step in there, which I think I'm going to do even in the next few days. You're going to have me thinking about this. And that is, I think identifying who I am, and my passions and my weaknesses and strengths and the goals and dreams I have in life, and get really clear on that. Then use that
goes to your values, your behaviors, what you like to do, what you're good at, your traits. That's where all those are. All those come out of that step because you got to figure out who you are and who you want to be. And notice it says include essential values. I say include essential values, behaviors, and traits. I want those to be your essential values, behaviors, and traits, because you got to make that personal to you, because I might have different essential values than you would have, John. And that's not right or wrong. That's who you are as a person. So that's super important. You mind if I read through a few to give you a couple ideas of to get people's brains turning?
Yeah.
So obviously I've read mine a few times. I'll give you a few other ones. This person says they want to live each day with gratitude, compassion, and purpose, striving to inspire others through my creativity and commitment to making the world a more just and beautiful place. Two more I'll give you. This person says, my mission is to foster deep connections with loved ones, to pursue personal growth with determination, and to use my talents and technology to innovate solutions that address environmental challenges and improve lives globally. That's pretty detailed. That's pretty cool what they want to do with their life. And then the third one, to be a source of positivity and inspiration, striving to create a life that balances personal fulfillment with giving back to society, and to encourage others to live authentically and wholeheartedly.
Wow. Well, I can tell you right now, I don't have a formal mission statement for my business. I don't have a formal mission statement for this podcast, and I don't have a formal mission statement for life.
Great. So you're like I was when I started my business.
Yeah. So it's like I've just been operating out of what I think are clear, defined whys, but not formal written compasses.
Formal whys.
Well, and almost like having a compass.
Yes,
something
exactly.
I can refer back to. And I've not taken the time to do that. I can tell you right now that this podcast, the purpose of the podcast was twofold. It was for me to learn about business success and find the common denominators from other successful business owners in order to share that with people that are up and coming business owners. And then also to use the podcast and the topics of conversation to make meaningful connections with new people that are in the business world. So I had two purposes for the podcast. So I'm clear on why I started it.
There you go. That's great.
Well, is that the mission statement?
It very well could be. You just combine that. I would say brief. You could probably even make it a little bit brief. So I'll do this real quick, John, as you're talking about that, because I think as you were reading that, I was looking at because I have 7 guides for writing a business mission statement. Let me just rattle a few of them off because I feel like you hit them. So think about what you just said, and your audience, think about what John just said. I say, keep your statement. So I get a little bit more detail when I talk about the business mission statement, because that's really what people come to me for. And the personal one, I talk about that, but I try to keep that as brief as possible as far as the points. So here's the one. You want to keep your statement brief, focused, and easy to comprehend. And you want to avoid like industry-specific jargon. Number 2 is you want to avoid cliches like customer-centric or world-class. Like avoid those kind of things. If you have to say you're world-class, are you really world-class? I'm sorry. Maybe you're not, okay? When I was growing up, I went to a church and they said they were the friendliest church in town. I'm like, if you have to advertise that, are you really? And I'll just tell you, they weren't. I'm sorry. There were some really good people there, but they were not the friendliest church in town, okay? That was not even close, okay? And it wasn't even a big town. So if you're going to advertise that, you better figure it out into your research, okay? So number 3, clearly state your business primary person and the purpose and the impact it aims to achieve. Number 4, ensure your mission statement aligns with your business's practices, reflecting genuineness. It should guide decision-making and be reflective in how you operate. Number 4, emphasize what makes your business unique and sets you apart from your competitors. Number 6, understand that crafting a mission statement takes time. Write a draft, then review and revise it, and seek input from others. And let me tell you, don't think about age there. You can seek input from a 5-year-old. You can see, I talk to my daughters about it, and they're like, I don't like that. I'll talk to older folks about it. I'll talk to people my age about it. And then the last one, keep it timeless. Your mission statement should remain relevant regardless of changing circumstances. So like, number 7 is keep it evolve and allow it to evolve for your personal one. But for your business one, I say keep it timeless. Let it be timeless, because that's going to and help it remain and stand the test of time. Like maybe you might change a word here or there, but for the most part, keep it timeless so you can move forward with that, because it'll drive everything you do. You want to hear something funny, John? Oh, go. What you say?
Well, I was going to say, so much of what you gave us today is practical. I mean, we didn't get into a lot of theory as much as we got into like some nuts and bolts about building this why out, and it's so important. I can see, in a second, maybe wrap us up here, but like I could see you coming back for more and more episodes with me, because of what you've built in your course goes beyond why and mission statement, and there's other 100%. Pieces to what you teach your clients. But yeah, put a wrapper on this, man, and in advance, just thank you so much for sharing all this with us today.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, and I appreciate being here. So when you talk about, and here's the other thing I want you guys to know, a lot of this stuff, a lot of things I'm learning, I'm continuing to learn. So like as a coach, I need to make sure I'm ahead of those that I'm coaching, so that way I can bring them up, so I'm giving them the best value possible. Do I have all of this figured out? Do I have everything when it comes to business figured out? Absolutely not. But what I also know is I can figure out ways to find it out. So to figure it out, to help people and to go that direction. So like, for instance, when you're thinking about your business and launching it and stuff like that, you're going to get overwhelmed, because you're going to feel like, maybe I don't know where to go. Maybe I don't know what to do. But when I keep it really simple like this. When I start talking to entrepreneurs, I say, my job is to help you know your stuff. I could use another S word, but I just keep it PG. So I say, I want to help you know your stuff. So like right now, the workshop I'm currently involved with, and I got a number of, attendees in it, clients, that are part of it. And, I call them friends. I like making friends with people. So that's big. If you're working with me, I like to become your friend. But what I say in my 4 weeks that I'm doing right now, where I'm talking about, I want you to know your stuff. I want you to know your why. I want you to know your community. And when I say know your community, I mean your community of clients. Number 3 is I want you to know your products, like how you're going to make money. And I want you to know your team, like when to start a team, why to start a team, that team that's going to support you and bring you up and stuff like that. But all of that, all the stuff I talk about after know your why, if we don't cover know your why, you can't know your others. Like we can talk about know your team before we even talk about maybe know your products necessarily, or even know your community, but we got to talk about know your why first, because that's going to drive everything. So to put like a bow around this, John, I would say, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an employee, if you're a CEO, no matter what your title is, if you walk out of this episode and you go back and you say, I am just going to write a personal mission statement out of this, and I'm going to start living it out, I believe that will change your life. I believe you will be a better partner. You'll be a better spouse. You'll be a better friend. You'll be a better parent. You'll be a better son or daughter. You'll be a better person because of that. And you'll give more back to the world because you are living with intention. You're not just going with the flow. It's easy to go with the flow. And sometimes your business missions or your personal mission statement will cause you to go with the flow, and that's okay. But you'll know that's the flow you're supposed to be going with. But sometimes you'll be going against it because that's what your personal mission statement calls you to do. So I would say come up with a personal mission statement and watch how that will change how you live, how you work, and what you do. And if I can help you with anything business related, shoot me an email. All my stuff, I think John's going to put it in my my link tree. That's going to be in the notes somewhere. But if I can help with anything, if you want to jump into one of my workshops or whatever, email me. I'll let you know about the next one that's coming up. But at the end of the day, I just hope I brought you some value today. And I
absolutely.
Hope I made you laugh. And if you're expecting a child and somebody asks you, or if you're newly married and people are asking you when you're going to start having kids, make sure you tell them, we're not having kids yet. We're just practicing. Use that. Tell me how, and shoot me an email. Let me know how it works. I'd love to hear that.
John, thank you. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate your friendship and appreciate you being a repeat guest on here. Can't wait to have you back, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, I love you. I'll see you, John.
All right. Take care.